Thank you, John. Charlotte Motor Speedway, a little bit of precipitation falling, and we're hoping that we're going to go racing tonight in the ARCA Racing Series presented by Menards. It's the General Tire 150, and weather has been certainly a topic of conversation throughout the course of the day, beginning with this morning, some precipitation, and then you see this evening how the clouds and the lightning in particular have moved through, and at one point had to clear the grandstands because of lightning in the area. And you take a look at the radar, and certainly there is precipitation in the area, but right now it's nothing too heavy, so we're optimistic that we're going to go racing here in just a moment, or just a few moments anyway, from Charlotte Motor Speedway. So, along with Phil Parsons, I'm Vince Welch. Welcome, and ARCA Racing back at Charlotte for the first time since 2004, and I know Phil down in the garage earlier today, everybody's excited about being back here.
Yeah, they really are. You know, the Charlotte area and the Charlotte Motor Speedway are so important to our sport, and for ARCA to be back here is such a great godsend, really. All the competitors down the garage are excited to be here, the officials, everybody involved. And this racetrack has so much history here in the ARCA series. So many guys have got some early super speedway experience right here at this racetrack. Some notables that have raced here, actually Kyle Busch, a NASCAR champion, has raced here in the ARCA series. Here's some of the winners. You see Frank Kimmel, a 10-time ARCA champion, has 3 wins here. You see Adam Petty got that big win back in 1998. Ryan Newman, before he ever went to NASCAR, won an ARCA race here in 2000, and Dale Earnhardt Sr.'s other son, Kerry, got an ARCA win here as well.
Quick turnaround from our most recent race, which was Sunday in Toledo. Zane Smith was the winner there. He's now won 2 in a row, 3 of the 5 races this season, and has taken over the points lead with that victory on Sunday in Toledo.
It's going to be a great battle. Sheldon Creed's been strong every single race, as well as Chase Purdy. That's the Joe Gibbs driver right there, Riley Herbst, and Natalie Decker holding down the top 5 spot.
Well, we're in a hold right now because of weather, hoping to go racing in the ARCA Racing Series here shortly. But for now, we'll take this break and then return to Charlotte Motor Speedway.
It's a beautiful night in Alabama, and it's time to go from Talladega. This is the theme of the evening, side-by-side racing.
And we've seen them run side-by-side, lap after lap. A little bit of contact right there.
Problems for Natalie Decker.
Pretty hard contact right here.
They're crashing in the back, and it's Brett Holmes.
Yeah, they were just tight racing there.
And we have a car around. It's Doza into the wall.
We stayed green.
We will race to the finish.
Oh, trouble!
Now they'll crash hard. The big one at Talladega. The red has been lifted. It will be a 1-lap shootout. Back to green. 1 to go at Talladega. Looking 3 wide down the backstretch. Smith, and then Herbst goes around. Big contact taking Josh Williams with him. Caution. Overtime again. Green again at Talladega, and 1 to go. Smith and Graff in the front row. Top 2 to the line. Photo finish. Zane Smith has won by inches at Talladega.
What a great day that was for Zane Smith. He hopes to do it again tonight here at Charlotte, and it would be his 3rd consecutive win. But right now, under a weather delay prior to the General Tire 150. The good news is we haven't had heavy rain, but we have had a little bit of precipitation. There's been heavy rain in the area, but really lightning has been the issue that has created this delay. And as you see, the track dryers on the track now just drying up some of the moisture that has fallen, but we haven't had a huge shower, and that's the good news. We'll keep our fingers crossed, Phil.
Yeah, without a doubt, we have not lost the racetrack for sure. And I think initially, because of the lightning, they cleared the grandstands, as you mentioned before. But now, with the jet dryers on the racetrack, I don't think it'll be long at all, as long as we don't get any more precipitation before we're ready to go.
Pre-race ceremonies on hold, but we're told that those will be getting underway, weather permitting, here shortly. So we'll look forward to that. And again, we've not, as Phil said, lost the racetrack because of rain. They're just wanting to make sure that it is dry, because we have had a little bit of precipitation, but there has been some heavy rain in the area. We're hoping that that stays away and we're able to get in this all 100 laps of this race. Of course, 50, you see the precipitation there in the light, so it is now starting to come down a little bit. So keep our fingers crossed and hope that that doesn't get any heavier. Gives us an opportunity to kind of pull back the curtain a little bit, find out a little something about these drivers, other than the fact they wear a driver's suit, go fast and turn left. Find out, learn a little bit about their personality with the General Tire driver profile.
I am a child when it comes to theme parks. Disney's the coolest place in the world. I love roller coasters, go-kart parks, any little kid stuff like that. Putt-putt, I can take on anybody in putt-putt. I have yet to be challenged. I'm the champion.
I think I would have grown out of playing with cars, just die-cast and stuff like that, but I still collect them, and I love all types of die-cast and race cars and stuff like that.
My whole room is like decorated like a kid's room. So they used to give us pictures in Sports Illustrated, and I would just rip the pictures out and like tape them on my wall. They're still hanging all over the wall.
Maybe video games. I don't play a lot of video games, but I do play iRacing all the time. But I think it's a great training tool. So I use it like as an excuse to play a game. Because I'm like, I'm training for Daytona. I'm training for Michigan, Chicago, wherever.
I'm with Gustine. I don't think you ever outgrow the thrill of the roller coaster ride. I certainly haven't. Phil, what do you need to give up?
Well, I probably need to give up golf. I'm not that good at it, and I lose a lot of money to Michael Waltrip mostly.
Well, I don't think you're ever going to outgrow. He hopes you never outgrow that. Looking forward to getting this race underway tonight, and it's a special race for a number of reasons, not just because we're here at Charlotte for the first time in 14 years, but it's also a General Tire Super Speedway Challenge race, and it's kind of a championship within a championship comprised of the events at the paved ovals greater than 1 mile in length, and that's a 9-race series. It began in Daytona, will end in Kansas. And when those races are sponsored by General Tire, it's a double points race, which this one is. And you see the current Super Speedway Challenge standings, and it's an owner's title, right?
Yeah, because you can have multiple drivers within one car. You see Bill Venturini right now by virtue of that big win by Michael Self at Daytona and a third-place finish at Talladega. You see he leads by 50 points over Matthew Miller, who owns a 28 car that Sheldon Creed drives.
Well, you see the precipitation on the camera lens, and we're keeping our fingers crossed. It certainly doesn't look as though we've lost the track at this point, but we are in a weather delay here at Charlotte Motor Speedway, and you see the radar that shows that there is certainly precipitation in the area. We're hoping that we're going to catch a break and not get any more rain, or certainly not rain that would hamper our schedule any further this evening. But for now, in a weather delay at Charlotte, we'll come back and give you another update here in a moment. We've had 5 races this season. It began at Daytona, where Michael Self put it in victory lane.
How about Zane Smith gets his first career win at Nashville?
And then love racing at Salem. Christian Eckes does too. He won there.
Remember, we saw a video of that great race at Talladega. Zane Smith wins by about 2/100ths of a second.
And then on Sunday, Smith did it again. His 3rd win of the season. Zane Smith has won 3 of the 5.
We said his name a lot, didn't we?
We did. And we might end up saying it more tonight as well. We certainly hope we get the opportunity for the General Tire 150 from Charlotte Motor Speedway. But right now, in a bit of a weather delay, and again, it's not pouring down rain, just enough. You see the truck there has got his wipers on, but really just enough to kind of be an irritant at this point. But haven't lost the track, but we're still, there is rain in the area. So just kind of keeping our fingers crossed and hope that we're able to get this thing going. You see the drivers are in their cars, so they're optimistic that we're going to get it going.
Yeah, that's a great view of Leilani Munter. There's Natalie Decker. The 25 car.
Yep. And when we do get going here this evening, this will be your starting lineup, led by the front row, Todd Gilliland. Well, what an impressive job he did in qualifying earlier this evening.
Yeah, that was a great shot of the green on board of Gus Dean. We talked about him being up on the front row, doing a great job there. He is right there on the front row, Gus Dean, along with Todd Gilliland. Todd won the test over here a couple of weeks ago. He won practice fence, and he got the pole. He's 3 for 3 so far.
And there's Zane Smith, the 3-time winner this season. Michael Self had a little bit of an incident in qualifying.
Yeah, big time incident will relegate him to the back in a backup car.
Chase Purdy, Sheldon Creed, a couple of names that you often talk about in the ARCA Racing Series.
Yeah, Sheldon Creed right now second points. This is Cody Robaugh. Cody's always fast when we come to these races. Just runs a limited schedule in that 7 car, but always has a lot of speed.
Austin Hill, full-time in the Truck Series, raced here in the truck just last week.
Yep, sure did. Austin's had a couple, 3 top 10 finishes in the trucks this year.
And how about Brandon Jones and Tyler Dipple too? But Jones in particular, full-time in the Xfinity Series.
Yeah, he really does a nice job. A 4-time winner here in this ARCA Series.
Natalie Decker and Will Rogers. Decker was on pole in the season opener at Daytona.
Yeah, Riley Herbst right there. Riley, a winner last year at Pocono in his first season in ARCA competition.
Herbst will run the truck for Kyle Busch Motorsports later this season, scheduled to do that at Vegas. You see Tolman and Grasso there.
Former Southern Modified Tour champion Andy Seiss right there in row number 11, along with Zach Ralston.
Brian Doza, Leilani Mutter. Back in row 12.
There's Tom Birdie back in row 13 with Jesse Iwuji. What a great story Jesse is.
Member of the United States Navy, played football at the Naval Academy, and boy, especially this weekend, Memorial Day weekend, give a lot of consideration certainly to those that serve and continue to serve, have served in the past, but certainly those that have made the ultimate sacrifice for our freedom and our country. There's a good look at Jesse.
Great look at Jesse.
Boy, that's a great picture.
Yeah.
Look at that smile.
Sure is.
Love
Just
that.
Loves this sport. There you see him on the left when he played for the Naval Academy, and all 3 different uniforms there for Jesse.
3 that he wears proudly.
Absolutely. And we appreciate his service.
Amen to that. Still hoping to race tonight at Charlotte Motor Speedway, the ARCA Racing Series and the General Tire 150, currently in a weather delay. Take this break and we'll be right back. Well, you never like to see the track dryers on the track, but the good news is when they're out there, that typically means it's not raining very hard, if at all. And you can see that been a little bit of precipitation, but still hasn't been too bad, as we're hoping that we're going to be able to get the General Tire 150 underway here in just a little while. They had qualifying earlier this evening, and the 54 of Todd Gilliland was the fastest, and he is our pole award recipient. Interesting format, a little different qualifying format for ARCA tonight.
It was a 20-minute session. You could go out and run as many laps as you wanted during that session, but once you completed that and came in, then you had to stay in the pits, unlike NASCAR where you can go out in and out multiple times. When you came back in off the racetrack, that was it for that session.
What'd you think of that? I kind of like that qualifying.
I kind of liked it. You knew what you had. You had 20 minutes, and if you had any stoppage in play or whatever, then they would stop the clock, and whoever was on the racetrack at that time was able to go back out on the racetrack after they got back under green.
Because
but
Michael Self had an
Michael
incident,
Self,
so they had to stop the
yes.
clock at one point. Yeah,
yeah, and there was a couple cars that were on the racetrack along with him, and they were able to go back out after they cleaned the track.
And in fact, let's take a look at what happened to Michael Self in qualifying. And man, this is a big hit.
He actually ran, this is his 2nd lap. He had run fast enough in his 1st lap to be 5th overall.
Watch this.
Going for a little bit more. It's a little bit loose. You can hear it and feel it. That car hit the wall, the safer barrier so hard.
Thank goodness for the safer barrier. But Michael Self got out of the car under his own power. No issues there. And as you noted a little bit earlier, had to go to the backup.
Yeah, has to go to the backup, but the Venturinis have some really good equipment over there. So I know we'll have a bird's eye view of him driving back towards the front. He'll be very good tonight, I think.
Well, we are still under this weather delay, and you can see on the camera lens there are a few drops of precipitation, but it hasn't been too awfully bad. And it is a special night here at Charlotte Motor Speedway because it's the first time that the ARCA Racing Series has participated here since 2004. And we're going to look back at it, and I just think it's amazing. Look at the difference in the video, the video quality from, just 14 years from HD to standard depth.
And we thought this was perfectly fine back in 2004.
It was, even if we had to get up off the couch and change the channel ourselves.
That's right. A lot of action here. Some great racing, big wrecks.
I believe Brad Keselowski, David Reagan were both in
Both
that
of
race.
those drivers were in this race. Yeah, Billy Venturini, who runs the Venturini organization now, was also in this race. Hard hit right there. I believe that was Christy Passmore in the 91 car. And Ryan Hemphill, that red number 64, goes to victory lane.
What a special night that was for Ryan, and he has been one that's been able to celebrate in victory lane, and drivers of all those cars lined up along the pit road there that you see, they are hoping that tonight is the night they are standing in victory lane celebrating, and we're getting very close to getting the command for the drivers to fire engines, so that's good news. The track drying efforts have been complete. The lightning has gone out of the area, and I think we're going to get this thing started.
Yeah, Vince, this is a great view of this lineup here. You know, we were down in the garage area, you and I, today. It's amazing how good this field of cars looked. I'm telling you, there's 12, 15 cars that I would consider contenders for this win, and the field looks so good with the new composite body cars that you can see right here. There's Will Rogers in the Dryden number 11. There he is, great onboard view of the Dryden car, but this field of cars is as final looking field of cars as I've ever seen the ARCA series put out there.
Getting ready to hear those magic words. Get ready to fire those engines for the General Tire 150 here in Charlotte.
And now for the most famous words in motorsports, please welcome your Grand Marshal, Vice President of Sales and Marketing for PLT United States, Bill Caldwell.
Drivers, start your engines!
Great to hear those engines fire. Getting ready to go racing. Race number 6 of the season for the ARCA Racing Series, presented by Menards.
Here they come onto their front straightaway. 5 wide. Still grinding on each other. Here we go. A little contact. Here he comes inside. Look at that push. Side by side. No trouble. Oh, it is getting good in the ARCA Racing Series.
Charlotte Motor Speedway, the perfect stage for a weekend of racing, and it begins tonight. The ARCA Racing Series presented by Menards. This is the General Tire 150. Take a look at our onboard views for our race tonight.
Yeah, we're going to ride along with Leilani Munter. That's the veganstrong.com Toyota. Finished 8th at Daytona. Best career finish this year for Leilani.
And Riley Herbst in the 18 with the General Tire on board.
We're going to ride along with Will Rogers. That's the Dryden High Performance Lubricants on board. That's the 4 from Kitty Schrader. He's a 2-time winner in the K&N Series last year on the road courses.
On board with the 25 of Natalie Decker, won the pole award at Daytona, the season opener, carrying the Yamaha Power Products on board.
Been a pretty eventful day for Michael Self. That's the Sinclair Lubricants Toyota for Venturini Motorsports. You see him starting 5th. He qualified 5th, but he's going to have to go the back, as we mentioned before, because of a backup car.
And the Gree Cooling Products on board of the 32 of Gus Dean. Starts on the front row tonight. Phil Parsons, I'm Vince Welch, and downstairs on pit road, Jim Trado. Jim?
Vince, one more driver to watch is the driver, the number 28, Sheldon Creed. He'll start his United Rentals Toyota in the 8th position, but he had an adventurous day as well. He, in practice, had a moment coming off of turn number 2, slid down the racetrack, and he nosed this car into the interior wall. Enough damage was created. They took the nose off. Crew Chief Jeff Stankiewicz and the team spent the majority of the second half of practice into the afternoon fixing this car because of this incident. What they had to do was go back in and weld some bracing for the nose, change the nose piece altogether, and Sheldon Creed was also involved in changing the transmission because with that spin, they thought they might have hurt that. So that team had a lot of work today. This young man had just lost the point lead last Sunday. He's now trying to win a race on a 1.5 miles. This team was extremely confident after that open test on May 10, so they worked their butts off. And he almost crashed in qualifying, too. Lots going on here for Sheldon Creed and his team.
We'll look forward to watching that 28 car, that's for sure. Let's take a look, Phil, at our track description here at Charlotte Motor Speedway.
Yeah, what a great racetrack here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. I was talking to Riley Herbst. I said, how does this compare to the other Mountain Apps? He says, this is by far the most challenging Mountain App. You see our corners are banked at 24 degrees. Our straightaways front end back at 5 degrees. Our front straightaway is almost 2,000 feet. Both ends of these racetrack are different. Bends 1 and 2 are relatively easy, even though we saw Sheldon Creed have trouble there. 3 and 4 is the challenge.
Some bumps along the way to get your attention
Without
as well on that racetrack. And our race analysis.
Yeah, you can see this race is 100 laps, 150 miles. The pit window for these ARCA machines is somewhere between 60 and 66 laps. That means they can make this race on 1 pit stop.
Pole winner, as we told you earlier, was Todd Gilliland. Well, how impressive has this young man been? Just recently turned 18 years old and will run full-time from this point forward in the truck series, but just so impressive when you visit with him, and what a young talent.
That's what I was going to say. He's really impressive behind the wheel, but he's also impressive when you're talking to him too. What a great family comes from. He spent a lot of time with his dad, David Gilliland, today down in the garage area. Really high expectations for this race. Todd's going to be in this car once or twice more this year. They're also going to run some other people in this car as well.
How about the Scott Rookie Spotlight? Our NASCAR Next Class features 4 drivers that are in this race here tonight. Chase Purdy in the 8, Will Rogers in the 11, Riley Herbst drives the 18, and Zane Smith is piloting the 41.
Pretty good class right there. Anthony Alfredo already a winner in the K&N Series this year. Haley Deegan had a top 5 finish last weekend in the K&N West.
Derek Kraus, Tanner Thorson from the open wheel side on the from USAC. And you look at the Scott Rookie Challenge.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a strong battle. Zane Smith got that big win at Toledo last week, and he passed Chase Purdy in traffic to get it. So Chase was on the verge of getting a win as well.
Cars are on the backstretch, headed toward turn 3, getting ready to take the green this time by. As you see Gus Dean on the outside of row 1, Todd Gilliland on the inside. Of course, Zane Smith, the 3-time winner, on the inside of row 2, and that's 77 Joe Graff Jr. on the outside of the 2nd row.
Joe's had a couple of really good runs here. Finished 2nd at Talladega and then 3rd last week at Toledo. Back-to-back great runs for that Chad Bryant team.
Chase Purdy the inside of row 3, and Travis Braden on the outside of the 3rd row. That's your top 6 as they're getting ready to go. Todd Gilliland, the pole winner, will lead him to the green, and we are racing at Charlotte.
Gustine had a bit of an issue trying to get going. Looked like he may have spun the tires there on the outside.
No problem for Gilliland, though. Jumps to the front, and we've got one sideways. That's Graff.
What a save. All the way down on the apron, was able to grab that car and save it.
Wow. Purdy sitting in 4th, but right out front, Todd Gilliland in that 54.
Doesn't look like he just turned 18 about a week ago, does it?
How about Gilliland? What a great story when he couldn't race until he was 15 in the ARCA series, and so his 15th weekend of his 15th birthday, they were going to race, and what happened? What did he do?
Well, he won. Yeah. 2 days after he turned 15.
I think he was ready. Watch Graff save this one here in the 77.
Well, let's see if there was any contact here. There was contact right there from Travis Braden. Oh, and I'm sorry, that was Austin Hill in the 51 that made contact with that left rear corner. What a great save right there by Joe Graff Jr.
Well, his night could have been over right there, and he saved it. Like Hill just couldn't quite get checked up in time. Gilliland out front was Zane Smith 2nd, and the 32 of Gus Dean running 3rd.
Was talking to Gus down the garage area. They've had a lot of bad luck to start the season. They're looking for a good run to turn this season around, and it might be here tonight.
I thought you made a great point. You know, they won a couple of years ago at Talladega, did Gus Dean, and it gave them confidence that they could do it. And I think once you've done it once, you know you can do it again, but it's not easy. I mean, this series is a competitive series, and those wins, they don't come easy. You value them when you get them, that's for sure. Good look at the 25, Natalie Decker. And there's that 51 of Austin Hill.
Yeah, Natalie actually just got by Austin Hill for the 9th position. So Natalie's on the move.
Yeah, she started 15th, gained 6 spots already.
Just gets more confident every time she gets behind the wheel here. Really done a nice job this year. Finished 7th at Toledo about 4 days ago.
Of course, had that great start to the season, winning the pole at Daytona and then finishing 5th. There's Riley Herbst in that 18. Well, he's had a good go too, but they didn't have a great qualifying effort today. Started the race 18th, and they've had some good runs this season as well.
I was surprised because Riley Herbst was one of our fastest cars in practice. Had a little bit of a handling issue, I think, in qualifying, but try to make his way up towards the top 10 now.
Last year's Scott Rookie of the Year, Riley Herbst. You know, we showed you at the start of the race, you saw Gus Dean started on the outside of the front row. As you noted, Phil kind of spun those tires. Here's his radio communication.
Yeah, you could hear him spin the tires, Vince, and he had to back out of the throttle and got back in the throttle. They spun again, and then he just grabbed 3rd gear.
Herbst in that 18 car sitting 12th. And there's the 54 of Gilliland negotiating some lap traffic.
He's setting such a torrid pace. He's coming up on some of these lap cars, and he gets on them so fast they don't know exactly which way to go.
You know, he doesn't get, because he just turned 18, and in the NASCAR series you have to be 18 to run the tracks this size, 1.5 miles. So it's a good opportunity for him to just gain some more seat time. Of course, he ran the truck last week and had a good showing, but hasn't had a lot of action on the 1.5 mile track. So this is a great opportunity for Gilliland to gain some of that experience.
Yeah, Jim talked about the test we had 2 or 3 weeks ago, and that was the first opportunity for Todd to be behind the wheel of a machine on a 1.5 mile track, and he led that test session, and then came here last week for the truck race, ran extremely well, ended up with a top 10 finish. We know he's going to be fast from here on out for the rest of the season in the truck series.
Well, you mentioned that test. Was he 3.5 miles an hour faster than the next closest competitor? Granted, it's a test, but very impressive. And he backed it up with a pole run earlier today, and he's led them all so far, all 10 laps.
He looks just so solid. He has over a 3-second lead right now over Zane Smith. He is really putting some great laps down.
What do you see from his line, Phil?
This is kind of a textbook line here. You want to run the bottom of the racetrack pretty much until you need to search around for some grip. But right now he has that grip. This racetrack's cooled off a little bit. These guys are running probably within a second of what they've been able to run on new tires in a qualifying type scenario.
Good look at the 51 of Austin Hill. Jim?
Austin Hill has reported a bad vibration. You think the right front is coming apart, or at least it's a vibration up where he wants to pit. He was running top 15 and now he's drifting back. He said, I think I need to come to the pit road sooner than later for at least 2 right side tires.
Well, you see there's a little bit of damage on the right front of that car, and that's where he got into Joe Graff Jr.
Maybe he has a bit of a tire rub or something like that, because we have seen no issues at all with these General tires this week. Evan has really been raving about the speed of these General tires. This is kind of a new prototype type tire that they think that they can run on several different racetracks on the ARCA schedule this year. So we haven't seen any issues whatsoever. So it may have been related to that contact.
Back up front with Todd Gilliland. Traction compound was put down on this track on Monday up in that 2nd and 3rd grooves. Not all the way up to the wall, but the 2nd and 3rd grooves from the wall. So it'll be interesting to see throughout the course of the weekend how that plays out. I know several of the Cup drivers today in practice talked about it being actually not much traction up there when they got onto it, but certainly Gilliland doesn't seem to be having any issue. There's a look at the 41 of Zane Smith running 2nd, but over 4.5 seconds behind the leader.
Yeah, you can see the difference in color. You can see the darker areas where that traction compound has been put down. You see Zane getting his right sides in that as he laps by David Sear in the 69 car.
Zane Smith was in an accident, involved in an accident at Daytona and finished 26th. But since then, 3 wins and a runner-up finish. He finished second at Salem, but he won at Nashville. He won at Talladega. He won on Sunday at Toledo. That's a great start to the season.
Certainly has been. You can see our last 3 races for Augustine. Remember, we talked about the bad luck he's had this season early on. Only that one top 10 finish at Salem. That's 7th.
Dean currently sits 8th in the point standings. Finished the year 4th in points last year.
And wasn't quite able to get to victory lane to get that second win, as we see Chase Purdy, the 8 car, making his way around him to take over that 3rd spot.
Nice move from Purdy. Finished runner-up on Sunday at Toledo. Had a good shot at the win. One of those Scout Rookie of the Year candidates. A familiar looking 8 paint scheme.
Yeah, looks a lot like a car I recognize. Maybe Dale Jr. that maybe drove that car.
And you know, a junior fan's going to turn on this, maybe has no idea that Chase Purdy's driving that, but says, I'm going to root for that guy because that paint scheme is like Junior used to drive.
That's right. That's a good one to pull for. Chase Purdy actually got his start here right on the quarter mile, right here running legend cars back in the day. Not that long ago. Chase is only 18 years old, but did a nice job running legend cars here on the quarter mile at Charlotte. Summer shootout getting ready to start here in a couple of weeks in Charlotte.
Yeah, it's been a great season for Purdy. A couple of top 5s. There's a good look at the 12 of Brandon Jones.
That was one of the guys that I was really going to keep my eye on, Vince. He started back in the 12th spot. He was a lot faster than that in practice. Looked like his car was really loose qualifying as we watched qualifying, but he's made his way now up into the top 5, and you can see him moving in on the 32 of Gustine for the 4th spot.
Brandon running double duty this weekend. He'll run the Xfinity Series race on Saturday, which runs full-time in the Xfinity Series for Joe Gibbs. In that 5th position, and he has got Dean right there in front of him for 4th.
There's Leilani Munter. Leilani's a little bit off the pace right now.
Shane Huffman, the crew chief on this 12 car for Jones.
Yeah, this is his 3rd full season in the Xfinity Series. First season driver for Joe Gibbs Racing. Really doing a nice job, having a great season thus far. Had a good season when his first full year when he ran for RCR in the Xfinity Series. They struggled a little bit last year. Made the move over to Joe Gibbs, and I think it was a positive move. Running extremely well this year.
How about this MDM group with Chase Purdy, Brandon Jones? We just saw Sheldon Creed in that group as well. Zane Smith.
Yeah,
pretty stout lineup.
Very stout lineup. Each and every race that they come to the racetrack, their cars are running extremely well, running up front. Here's another guy, Travis Braden, that's looking to break out this season. A winner in his first ever start up at Lucas Oil Raceway a couple years ago. Jim, what's going on with that 27 car?
Travis Braden radioed in that he's got a loose condition on this car, but when it comes to these 1.5-mile tracks, Travis may be a short track specialist, but this is already his 8th 1.5-mile race in the ARCA Racing Series presented by Menards. His average finish in those races, 7.5. So he's got a really good car. They were very confident after the test earlier this month where they were 3rd quick overall, but right now, loose in the corner for the 27, the Consonas Ford of Travis Braden.
Now the caution is out. .21 laps in, and going to see if there's debris. Oh, yep, there's the incident. Doza,
hard
57.
Doza, sure is. Ryan's just trying to make his way back to the garage area. Sure has been. Wow. Ooh, there was some contact right there, Vince, with Natalie Decker, and that looks like Joe Graff Jr. also, that silver 77 that got into the outside wall as well.
Well, that's going to, I would imagine, be the end of the night for Doza with all of that damage.
Yeah, that's definitely terminal there.
Surprised that they're even taking a look at that to evaluate it.
See, Natalie makes a move to the inside. Just some contact. Brian didn't quite have the pace that Natalie had, and she was trying to make her way by him. Made just enough contact to turn him around.
First opportunity for the cars on pit road, and Jim's down there waiting on them.
Well, they're worried about tire wear. The longest run they did is about 10 laps in the practice day or today, but they have 2 sets of general tires here to use. 8 tires in the pits. They're going to change all 4 tires on the 41. Zane Smith said the car's free off late exit. Got to fix that. I need a little more grip on the exit as well, so I can change 4 tires on the car that came in second. Todd Gilliland as well. The pace he set. Why not put 4 fresh general tire radials on that car? 4 tires are both our leaders on pit road.
Smooth stop for that 54 team, and Gilliland gets out right in front of Brandon Jones. Guys going to work.
Great pit work by Todd's guys. There's Will Rogers, that 11 car, leaving pit road alongside the 32 of Gus Dean.
It's been a dominating performance by the driver of the 54. Todd Gilliland has led them all so far at Charlotte. Back at Charlotte Motor Speedway, the ARCA Racing Series here for the first time since 2004. It's the General Tire 150. Under caution after an incident involving Natalie Decker. There's the 77 of Joe Graff Jr. that was involved in that as well, and the 57 of Brian Doza.
You can see the damage to the right side of that 77 car. Doesn't appear to be too bad.
He got the best of it in regards to the 3 that were involved. Of course, it's a very special weekend, Memorial Day weekend, and some very patriotic paint schemes throughout the garages, Cup, Xfinity, and of course to the ARCA series as well. And that 02 of Andy Seiss, it's a nice touch.
It really is. There's actually a bunch of pictures within the 02 number on each side of that car that shows servicemen and some policemen as well that lost their life in the line of duty. So a very nice thing for Andy and his guys to do with honoring our service people here this weekend.
Yeah, it's a little hard to pick out on television, but boy, when you stand right up next to it, it is an impressive scheme. It's very nice. Well done. Well, we're a quarter of the way through lap 25. They've given them the 1 to go signal, so it's a 100 lapper. And we're 26 through, and Todd Gilliland, we're 25 through on lap 26. Todd Gilliland has led them all from the pole position, and he will restart up front again with Brandon Jones on his outside.
Yeah, Brandon really made a nice move up into the top 5 from his 12th place starting position. So I'm really curious to see if Brandon has the speed to run with Todd here.
Chase Purdy will start on the inside of row 2, and Zane Smith on the outside of row 2.
We talked about in our race analysis that these guys could go somewhere around 60-65 laps, something like that. So they're not in their window to make it to the scheduled distance of this race of 100 laps, but with some threatening weather in the area, obviously they can go about 60 laps from here.
I think the only thing that maybe other than the weather that this field has to worry about is how far the 54 got out in front during those first 20 laps.
Exactly. But, you know, he opened up about a 6-second lead, but I was watching the scoring monitor before we had that caution flag, and it was down to about 4 seconds, Vince. So he lost a little bit of that lead. He may have just decided to back off a little bit. We'll see here. Brandon Jones is going to run him hard.
Pace car is off and getting ready for the restart. The green waves, and Gilliland jumping to the front, but Brandon Jones right there on that right quarter panel, and now pulling up. Can Jones get around on the outside? Side by side with Gilliland on this restart.
It'll be a great battle here as they get down towards turn number 3.
Jones slipped just a bit. Gilliland gets to the front and has the lead.
You see Brandon Jones, that 12 car, pull in behind Gilliland. Let's see if he can run with him. Great side-by-side battle between teammates. Chase Purdy, the 8, the 28 of Sheldon Creed. That's a battle for the 4th spot.
And Creed gets it.
Comes Travis Braden. That's Travis in the 27 white car.
Followed by Riley Herbst, trying to get inside for position and gets it. Herbst.
Gustine thought about making it 3 wide for a moment. Gus is in the white and blue number 32 car. He's on the inside of the 11 of Will Rogers.
Riding on board with Riley Herbst, sitting in the 7th spot. It's Travis Braden just ahead of him.
Nice move for Riley up from his 18th place starting position. We knew that was a lot slower than what he was able to do in practice.
Well, they did a nice job during that first 20 laps or so, just moving up spot by spot, kept grabbing spots, and as you said, really, I think, showed how good of a car he actually has. Will Rogers on board, getting 10th place.
Yeah, Will ran Daytona. It was his only ARCA start of his career. Good to see him back in another ARCA car. There's Max Tolman, the 78 car sponsored by Rutgers University. Max is going to be a freshman. Well, was a freshman. Actually, Max is now 20 years old, from New Jersey.
Windhofen, the 98 out there with the black car, the pink letters. Securing 11th, while Robaugh and the 78 of Tolman battle for 12th.
There's Tyler Dipple in the 22 car. First time we've seen him. That blue and black car behind him is Brandon Lynn in the 55 car.
I really like the composite bodies, Phil, and how they look so clean up close. These Ilmor engines, I mean, I think the combination of the two have made this ARCA Racing Series, I mean, it has elevated, in my opinion, the competitiveness of the series and the quality of the series in general.
Without a doubt. We saw the video earlier of the 2004 race here at Charlotte. It's amazing how good these cars look compared to what they did back then. Just about the entire field here is high quality. Again, at least 12-15 cars here capable of winning the race.
Max Tolman in that 78 currently sits 12th. Jim?
Doug Richard, his veteran crew chief, has said, we're done pitting. We put 4 tires on that car. We can go the distance. Max, take care of your tires. We don't plan on coming back to pit road.
Well, that's a long time, Jim. 78 laps he has to make it. Obviously, we had a few caution laps that fit in, but these Ilmor engines you were talking about, Vince, do get some really good fuel mileage. They don't turn that many RPMs. These guys are turning maybe 72, 7,300 RPMs. Most of the guys told me they can get somewhere between 5 and 5.5 miles a gallon. That would be somewhere around 65, maybe even stretching to 70 laps. But 78 is going to be really stretching it. But he may have backed off and just trying to set a pace that Doug Richard will tell him, say, hey, let's run this pace, and we feel like maybe we can make it. It may be worth a try.
Well, Richard's resume is pretty good.
Yes, it is. Certainly is. Long-time crew chief in NASCAR. Was actually the crew chief when Dale Sr. won his first championship back in 1980.
Todd Gilliland stays out front. And that Gilliland Crosley racing machine, he's led them all so far at Charlotte. Back at Charlotte Motor Speedway, the General Tire 150 under caution because of an accident involving Jesse Iwuji and Tyler Dipple. And very interesting because it was clear that Awuji knew that he had a problem, and we'll see it here on the replay. And watch, you see the spark out from underneath the car of Awuji, the 34.
Yeah, then he just moves up the racetrack. It's right up against the outside wall, out of the way right here.
Yeah,
but
it looks like everything would be fine at this point. Obviously knew he had a problem, and then he tried to come down and get out of the way, and Dipple got
yeah, and Vince, I'm not sure he tried to come down, or maybe whatever was going wrong forced him for that car to turn left like it did, and then makes hard contact with the 22 of Dipple.
Boy, and that's a hard hit into the wall.
And Dipple as well, too.
So big hit for Awuji, and the good news is climbed out of the car under his own power and walked to the ambulance and will be taken to the care center to be checked.
Yeah, tough break for Jesse. Just trying to get some experience here in the ARCA series on these super speedways.
So the 51 of Austin Hill and the 52 of Brandon Grasso both came to pit road.
Yeah, this is good news for, unfortunately, bad news for Jesse Awuji and Tyler Dipple, but for Max Tolman, Doug Richard think they can make it the rest of the way. These caution laps are definitely going to help that situation, especially if he can save a little fuel by shutting the engine off and letting that car coast. I was really surprised that we didn't see more cars come down pit road to try to make sure they got in their window vents that they could make it the rest of the way. We know now with only 61 laps to go that they would be in their window to make it the rest of the way. They may feel like they're going to need tires though a little bit later on. That may have kept some people on the racetrack.
Andy Seiss comes in for chassis adjustment, some fuel, piece of tape on the front. We've run 40 here at Charlotte. Todd Gilliland has been out front all the way. Less than a week ago, it was Toledo Speedway. Oh, excuse me, 2015. I'm sorry, looking at the wrong video. 2015, and how about that 55 of Todd Gilliland just after his 15th birthday, the weekend. He couldn't race until he was 15. The weekend he turns 15, hops in the car, and gets the job done.
Great battle with the longtime ARCA competitor Tom Hessert, who was in the 77. Josh Williams in the 6. What a great battle. Look how young he looks there. Well, he was young, I guess.
He was 15. I mean, now he's 18, turned 18 last week. And,
but he's tall.
Yes, he is, and he still looks young.
He still looks young, yes.
But he can wheel it, that's for sure. He's led them all so far. What a great talent this young man is, Todd Gilliland. And Jim Trados with his crew chief.
And with David Gilliland and his son, since they went late model racing together, it's Chris Lawson, the crew chief today on that number 54 machine. And just prior to the caution, Chris, you heard your driver say for the first time tonight, I have a handling issue. The car is getting tight on me. What are you guys going to do, if anything, if you come back to pit road?
We're just having him work some fans, work a little different lines on the racetrack, and we'll make an air pressure adjustment. He said it's just a little bit tight, so we fired off a little bit free. So obviously we over-adjusted right there at the pit stop, but just having him work on it, so we'll see.
And this team, guys, guess what? They came here and they tested on May 10th, and Todd turned 18. Guess what he's done since then? He finished 10th in the truck race. These guys went to work on the car to run here, but for the last 2 days, they didn't see their driver because Todd was actually testing a truck at Texas. So this kid's got a whole lot of fun now that he's turned the magical age of 18. And this team today in the ARCA Racing Series is getting it done.
Indeed, it has been an impressive run so far for Todd Gilliland. Recap some of our onboard looks that we're providing you tonight. Leilani Munter in the 20. Currently back in the 24th position.
See, Natalie Decker in the 25 car was involved in that incident. She now finds herself one lap down, running in the 21st spot. She's been on pit road a couple times. I think she's coming back in now.
The 15 of Michael Self running in the 20th spot, one lap down. He's on pit road now, of course, in a backup after a hard hit in qualifying earlier today.
There's the 11 car right there. Will Rogers. Will right now runs up in the top 10 in the 10th position. Driving for Kenny Schrader and Andy Hillenberg. A little bit of a co-op situation there.
Gus Dean in that 32. The Gree Cooling Products on board. Dean started on the front row. Currently sits 9th.
Big gainer, Riley Herbst right there, the terrible Herbst car. Right now running up in the 6th position, started way back in 18th.
It hasn't been so terrible.
It's been pretty good, actually.
But nobody's been able to catch that car, the 54 of Todd Gilliland.
I was watching our scoring monitor during that green flag run there, Vince, and Brandon Jones was staying within about a half a second of Todd Gilliland. Didn't really jump up there to challenge him other than the initial restart, but certainly stayed close.
What a nice job David Gilliland and Bo Lamastis have done with that organization and putting that team together and that organization together. They got about 19 or 20 employees already, and they have really assembled a good group.
Running full-time in the Truck Series with that 54 truck, as well as a handful of races in a second truck, the number 17.
Well, before we go back to racing, give us a opportunity to remind you about this summer's the 2018 FIFA World Cup. It's coming to Fox and FS1. Every match live, over 300 hours of coverage. The world's biggest sporting event. It begins June 14th. The FIFA World Cup on Fox and FS1. Zane Smith, a 3-time winner this season, including back-to-back victories, going for 3 in a row tonight. Jim?
Well, a driver who's in position to win perhaps another race this year is Zane Smith. The La Paz Margarita Mix driver has this guy in the pit box, Marty Lindley. Very smart guy. You're sitting in 3rd here, Marty. What's the strategy for the rest of this race? Do you have to come back to pit road?
Yeah, we got to come back. We're a little bit too short on fuel, but Zane's doing a great job. Car's a little bit loose on takeoffs right now. We get a little bit behind, but we get some green flag laps here. Our car's getting a lot better, you know, the longer we run. So
you made a mention under this caution about the outside line might be something to work with. Have you guys worked up there much at all?
Yeah, not today in practice, but we think the line's moving up. They'll be running the wall before the night's over.
And Zane likes it. He said, there's a lot of grip up here, guys, so watch that 41 machine. This kid is fearless.
Well, he's off to a great start this season, and of course coming off that win on Sunday, which I tried to show you a little bit earlier, but he got it done on Sunday at Toledo, and it's been a quick turnaround for this team. But man, I'll tell you what, this was a good finish for Zane.
That was a great battle with his teammate right there. Chase Purdy in the 8 car. He was able to catch him in traffic, use that lap car to get around him, and then was not able to Chase was not able to chase him back down. So win number 3 in 2018 for Zane Smith.
Well, it's been impressive is that the 2 races he didn't win, he finished 2nd in 1 and was having a good run at Daytona when he got caught up in that accident and ended up finishing 26th. But he has been strong. He hasn't had a bad race yet.
Yeah, he could have run the table this year, couldn't he? I was talking to his dad down in the garage area today, and you know, they felt like they were on the verge, and they were on the verge of winning a race last year, and they had some bad luck here and there, and his dad was saying, yeah, all the bad luck we had this year, you know, is turned around, and we're having all good luck pretty much.
It's nice when that happens, huh?
Yeah, for sure.
Along with the leader, Todd Gilliland, also a pretty good showing for the 12 of Brandon Jones. Jim?
Well, Brandon's doing double duty this weekend, and between ARCA qualifying and the race, there was a 1-hour Xfinity practice, and he actually told his guys recently on the radio under this caution, my car is doing just the opposite of my Xfinity car tonight, firing off on the tight side. It's really tight on the bottom, but free up as I move up. So Brandon Jones may be searching a different line just prior to the caution. Again, we didn't have enough green flag laps to know if this adjustment will work, but when he did pit 2 cautions ago, he said the car is a bit free, so they snugged it up just a little bit for the driver, the number 12 Toyota, Brandon Jones, who now lines up inside our race leader on the front stretch.
Well, and Jim brings up a good point about searching around, and that's where that experience comes in. And even though Brandon Jones is a young racer, and he's a very experienced driver, been in the Xfinity Series, well, this is 3rd full-time year?
Yeah, so he's been here in the Xfinity car probably 5 or 6 times, so he knows how to search around. He knows that there's more grip other places on this racetrack, and he's not afraid to go up there and find it.
Well, we saw a great battle with Jones and Gilliland on the last restart. Jones was on the outside, Gilliland was on the inside of that restart, so we'll see how it shakes out this time Gilliland on the outside.
Yeah, Todd said, let me try the outside, see how that works. Brandon was able to do a nice job on the outside. They were dead even until they got to turn 3, the first lap after the restart. Thing about being on the outside is you can hold that guy down on the inside bench. You can maybe pinch him down a little bit so he has to get out of that throttle because he can't use the entire racetrack.
Of course, it's a great weekend here at Charlotte Motor Speedway, and on Saturday, Cup practice, Xfinity qualifying, and the Xfinity race as well on Saturday afternoon. Getting ready for this restart. That's Todd Gilliland on the outside, the control car, and Brandon Jones on the inside, and we're back racing at Charlotte. Jones trying to fight back on the inside, but Gilliland has the momentum and a little bit of company coming with him.
Sheldon Creed, a teammate for Brandon Jones, is going to drive around on the outside.
Creed and Jones side by side. Jones now getting the advantage for second.
You talked about how strong that MDM team was. Right now they're running second, third, and fourth, and sixth. Great showing by MDM so far.
That sixth place car, that's Chase Purdy in the 8.
Chase is back to 7th now as Travis Brave, the 27, was able to jump by him on the restart.
And now Purdy on the inside for position, got by Riley Herbst. On board now with Gus Dean.
There's Brett Holmes, the 23 car on the outside. Both full-time competitors here in the ARCA series, both running up in the top 10.
9th and 10th, and Holmes going to get that spot from Dean. Purdy had gotten around Herbst for 6th, and Herbst is coming right back with a challenge.
Riley looks really good through the center of the corner. You can see him gain right through the center of the corner. Then they're pretty equal off the corner.
Great onboard look from the 18 car of Herbst.
Both these drivers right down on the bottom. See that little, how he gains through the center of the corner? Trying to keep that momentum going. Having to pedal the throttle just a little bit here. This is a pretty challenging racetrack. Right now, Riley Herbst's car looks really good through the center of the corner.
How about Purdy, Jim?
He's got a great race car. He also has the same spotter that helped him as he made his ARCA Racing Series debut for this MDM team back in Daytona and Talladega. Spotter's named TJ Majors, reminding this young driver, hey, you're only 18. I'm going to help you through this. Hit your marks. Be smooth as you run 6th right now. He is actually in a very comfortable place. Initially, he said the car was a bit free. It's now tightening up as the race goes on. A lot of cheerleading, but TJ Majors, the spotter for Joey Logano on Sundays, helping this young man at this very fast racetrack for the first time.
You know, TJ was a longtime spotter for Dale Jr., so you know
he recognizes that
car. Absolutely.
Yeah, Purdy put a little bit of a gap between he and Herbst now after Herbst was right there on the back bumper challenging for that spot. Sixth place, about just inside of 5 seconds behind the leader, Todd Gilliland. It has been a dominating performance from that 54 machine. The Toyota has run out front all night long. The General Tire 150 past the halfway point in Charlotte. In the area, a little bit of precipitation got us off to a slow start, but then when we did get started,
yeah, good start by Todd Gilliland, the 54. A little bit of an issue for the 32 of Gus Dean. Spun his tire. Listen to him. You could hear him spin his tires there on that initial start.
And on that first lap, Joe Graff Jr. got tagged a little bit from behind by Austin Hill. What a great save by Graff.
Boy, it certainly was. Then our first incident, you see Brian Doze of the 57 and the 25 of Natalie Decker get together. The 77 Joe Graff got a piece of that as well, the outside wall. There's a contact between Natalie that turned Doza around. Natalie also got into the outside wall.
In the first pit stop, Todd Gilliland gets out first, just ahead of Brandon Jones.
Great restart here. Brandon Jones was able to hang tough on the outside till Gilliland was able to pull ahead in 3 and 4.
And then Awuji was involved in an incident, and the 22 of Tyler Dipple made contact, and both those cars suffered heavy damage. Great to see Awuji get out of his car and walk under his own power. And then just a moment ago, the 77 of Graff get together with the 78 of Max Tolman.
Got loose on the inside of Max Tolman, makes contact with the outside safer barrier.
So that's why we are under caution. And just before that caution, the 54 of Gilliland and the 12 of Brandon Jones swapped positions. Jones was all over him, grabbed the lead. Gilliland came right back and recovered, but Jones showing he's maybe got a little something for Todd Gilliland before it's all said and done.
We've seen him look around on the racetrack for some more grip. He's moved up the racetrack. He was able to close up that gap, actually led that race for 1 lap, but pit road is open now. This should be these guys' final pit stop as they come down pit road.
Yeah, because they're in their window now to
Without
get to the end. So Gilliland leads to Jones and Creed, Zane Smith, Braden, Herbst, Purdy. It's a long line coming to get service, and Jim Trado's there waiting on him.
Brandon Jones has gauged the competition in this car 12. He said, I'm firing off strong, but I'm not as good as the race leader. I need a small adjustment. They're going to do 4 tires. They're not going to give an adjustment. They think the air pressure in that 12 car will be the difference. Todd Gilliland was searching for a line. His car was not handling properly. So the crew made the decision, let's take that adjustment we made on our first tire stop, first tire change. Let's take that back out. The car was good then. We're going back to that setting. 4 tires and Sunoco fuel for the 54 of Gilliland, who will go out second behind the 52. Make that third behind Sheldon Creed down the 28.
Wow. Well, we're going to find out how fast that car of Gilliland is, because he's going to be restarting from the second row, and that's not the position that he's been used to. That's for sure. He has been plenty fast. He's led them all except for 1. So don't miss the restart. Going to be fun when we come back. Plenty of action in the General Tire 150. Past the halfway point here at Charlotte. ARCA Racing Series presented by Menards, and Brandon Jones is the leader. Beat Todd Gilliland out of the pits. In fact, Jones and Sheldon Creed both beat Gilliland out of the pits on that series of stops.
I'll tell you, Brandon Jones' pit crew has been on the money. Their first pit stop, they gained about 4 positions, and this one obviously grabbed the lead from Todd Gilliland.
25 of Natalie Decker. Good look at Natalie. Got the free pass.
She was involved in that incident earlier, but the car seems to still have some speed, so she's back up in the lead lap, and we'll have 18 cars on the lead lap with 39 laps to go.
Michael Self in that 15 penalized for too fast exiting. Been a tough day for Michael.
Yeah, this backup car has not had the speed that primary did for sure.
Here's a look at Decker, and you saw some of that repair on the front end of her car. No damage to that one. Brandon Jones, they were disappointed with their qualifying result today. Qualified 13th, and they certainly knew they had a better car than that, and Brandon has proven it. He has driven toward the front and exchanged the lead with Todd Gilliland under race conditions, and then took the lead on pit lane.
That's the easier place to pass him, on pit road.
Yeah. See him lined up. Sheldon Creed, as close as he's been to the front tonight, so he'll start on the inside of the front row, and we get this restart.
We showed earlier the incident he had in practice. Jeff Stankiewicz led crew, jumped in there and repaired that car. I was talking to Sheldon after that, and he said, yeah, it was really loose when we started off, and just got away from me a little bit. It did, tried to keep it out of the wall, just barely touched the inside wall, but his guys jumped in there and actually got that car repaired in time for him to get a few laps towards the end of that practice session.
He's second in the point standings is Creed, and has had 4 top 5s in 5 races, and the one that he didn't finish top 5 was on Sunday at Toledo, and he was running up front when he got together with Harrison Burton, but he has been very solid so far this season, and he'll give Brandon Jones a battle on this restart. Back green at Charlotte, 37 to go.
I'm really curious to see how that 54 of Todd Gilliland's car handles in some dirty air. Unless he makes, got into the back of Sheldon Creed, turned him sideways.
Great save by Creed to gather it up and stays in it side by side with Jones, but Jones going to go to the point now, and here comes Zane Smith around the outside. He'll be side by side with Gilliland for third.
Really good racing right here. Brandon Jones says, guys, run side by side behind me.
Riley Herbst right there in the 5th position. On board with Herbst. Zane Smith just ahead of him.
See Todd Gilliland up ahead, trying to make his way to the inside of Sheldon Creed in a battle for second. He's there. Todd Gilliland now will grab that second spot.
Watch this bump from Gilliland. Boy, he had a great run and just got into the back end of Creed. Terrific save from Creed.
And just slight contact. That's no more contact than you need to turn somebody around. Nice job by Sheldon Creed.
Side by side, Herbst and Zane Smith for 4th. Riley Herbst has given it a good run tonight. The 18 car started 18th.
Riley's
he has been on the move.
Another one of those guys that's really had a tough start to the season. He's had a couple top 10 finishes, but nothing like we were used to seeing him do last year in his Rookie of the Year campaign.
Herbst won Pocono last year, and that's where the series will go next.
They will be there next week and have the coverage.
Smith secures that spot. A little more comfortable now in that 4th position with Herbst back there in 5th. Still within a couple of seconds of the leader. That car, the 12 of Brandon Jones. Part of that MDM group that has been so strong tonight. With Sheldon Creed, the 28, Zane Smith, the 41, Chase Purdy, the 8, all under that MDM umbrella.
Great battle right here. That's Brett Holmes, the 23, Brandon Lynn, that black and blue, number 55, and right along with Will Rogers right here. That's the battle for the 12th position. See right now Will in that Dryden car in 14th. Remember, all these guys are in their window, Vince. They can all make it on fuel. They all pitted with on lap 59 with only 41 to go.
How about that 23 of Brett Holmes, Jim?
He is on a charge, guys. He had a slower stop. They had a jack issue, but when they came down for 4 tires, crew chief Hollywood Wall made a big adjustment. He went 3 up on the right side track bar, 2 out of the left rear. So they're getting that whole thing figured out, and Brett Holmes is responding. This dirt late model racer likes the field this team has developed since Wall came out as the crew chief. They're moving forward because of that big change. They're recovering also from a slow pit stop just moments ago.
And he had a great top 5 finish at Toledo, his best finish of the year last week.
Brought a little momentum with him here to Charlotte.
Vince, we talk about that quick turnaround, only been since Sunday, that race at Toledo. This is the second of 11 races in 11 weeks for the ARCA Racing Series.
You know, in the Cup teams, or even the Xfinity teams, that's not such a big deal. I mean, they'd be worn out, obviously, at the Xfinity level, but the Cup guys, they're used to that sort of thing. It's a whole different animal for these ARCA teams. I mean, 11 weeks in a row, that's a lot.
It sure is, and all different kinds of racetracks, too. Very versatile series here, but this is that stretch where we really see the guys that are strong just set themselves apart from each other.
Gilliland running second now, less than a half second behind Jones. Gilliland dominated from the start today, has led 58 of the 71 laps, but right now finds himself behind Brandon Jones.
It's a battle for the 7th position right there. Travis Brayton, the 27, Quinn Houff in the 98. Travis Brayton's been solidly up in the top 10 this entire race. Travis is coming off 2 top 10s in a row at Talladega and Toledo.
Trying to make his way toward the front. 28 laps to go. Brandon Jones, his first start of the season, trying to put it in victory lane. Welcome back to Charlotte Motor Speedway. The ARCA Racing Series presented by Menards. It's the General Tire 150, and we're creeping up on 20 to go. We've had a nice little battle during the commercial break between the 41 of Zane Smith and the 18 of Riley Herbst as they're contesting for 4th, and they were running side by side. I thought Herbst was going to get him, but Smith did a nice job holding him off.
It looks like Riley backs off a little bit, catches his breath, and then is on it again. See, Sheldon Creed now has made his way around Todd Gilliland to take over that 2nd spot and has chased down Brandon Jones.
Gilliland looked unstoppable early on, but after he came out after that pit stop in the 3rd position, lost those spots on pit road, hasn't been quite as strong. Creed pulling up alongside of Brandon Jones for the lead. Teammates.
Sheldon Creed came from nowhere and takes that lead.
Creed to the front.
Ooh, Brandon Jones gets really loose on exit.
Sheldon Creed in that 28. It's been a terrific season for him. A runner-up finish at Nashville, a pair of 3rd place finishes, 4th at Talladega. We mentioned involved in that accident last week at Toledo, but he has been in the front all season long, and that's where he is now with 20 laps to go here at Charlotte. Sheldon Creed, the leader.
Yeah, looking for that first career win here. He's a 2-time Stadium Super Truck champion back in 15 and 16.
Looks pretty sporty, Jim.
Caution.
Oh, there is a caution.
Caution's out as Sheldon Creed just told the team as he took the lead. This is the best my car's been all night. That lead's going nowhere, guys.
Joe Graff Jr. Boy, he has been involved. He's going to be glad when this night's over. He has been involved in a variety of issues tonight, and one that he saved from being a significant issue. When Austin Hill got into the back of him, ended up making a great save. It looks like he just lost it on his own that time.
Looks like he just got loose. That was Michael Self in the 15 behind him, but I don't think he was close enough to make any contact. But that was right in front of our leader.
So Graff brings it to pit road, and a break for Creed in the sense that he was able to avoid, or how terrible that would have been. Under caution at Charlotte Motor Speedway. A little bit of a good news, bad news for the leader, Sheldon Creed. Bad news in the sense that he didn't necessarily want that caution because it shrunk his lead that he had opened up over Brandon Jones. The good news is when Joe Graff Jr. spun in front of him, it almost collected Sheldon Creed. So he was fortunate to get through there without getting entangled in that mess. And boy, what a heartbreaker that would have been, getting collected while leading. But it's been an impressive run for Creed to the front so far.
Sure has. You mentioned that runner-up finish he had at Nashville. He had a 2nd finish on the dirt at DuQuoin last year, so still looking for that first career win, and it's going to come as strong as he's been all year long.
We mentioned a moment ago that next race is Pocono, and it is a busy schedule, as we talked earlier about, in the midst of 11 weeks in a row here in the ARCA Racing Series presented by Menards.
You can see the races highlighted in yellow that we'll have right here on either FS1 or FS2 throughout the remainder of the season.
Looking forward to Gateway. Always good racing in the St. Louis area. The fans certainly enjoy it. Oh, I love that track schedule. So many different types of venue where the ARCA Racing Series competes.
Got a race September 7th in your backyard, Lucas Oil Raceway, Vince.
And a pretty good one going on right now here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Sheldon Creed is out front. 15 races or 15 laps left to go. Getting ready for a restart here at Charlotte Motor Speedway with 15 laps remaining. Good news, Jesse Iwuji and Tyler Dipple both checked out and released from the infield care center after their contact. The 54 of Todd Gilliland has been a dominant car tonight. He's led 58 laps and looked untouchable early on, but he slipped back a little bit. Jim Trado, what's the situation with Todd Gilliland?
He's got some nose damage, guys, and the team is concerned. They didn't address it right away under caution. There was no discussion about coming to pit road to fix it, but they also told the young man, you have an issue with that front nose. What happened? He said, I got in the back of the number 20. The number 20 is Leilani Munter. She's got some right rear bumper damage, but Gilliland's damage, he said, I came up on the 20 and I got damage on my car, and they said, hey, there's about a 12-inch hole in it. You're going to get tight now. So Crew Chief Chris Lawson reminding him the handling will be different with that big hole in the nose of the 54.
Well, Munter's got some pretty significant damage on the right rear, so you can see where the left front of Gilliland and the right rear of that 20 got together.
I had wondered what happened to Todd in that 54 because he was about a half second behind our leader at the time, which was Brandon Jones, and then I look up, he's running third, about 2.5 seconds behind. Now we know why.
Ready for this restart with Sheldon Creed on the outside and his teammate Brandon Jones on the inside. The green flag waving, and we're racing. It'll be a shootout to the finish here in Charlotte. Todd Gilliland and Riley Herbst in row 2 right there in case there's a slip up in the front.
I think right now you want to take advantage and try to get by that 54 of Gilliland while he has that aero problem with the front of that car, and Riley Herbst is going to try to do that on the outside.
Sheldon Creed dives down underneath the 12 of Jones, and Creed gets loose, almost some contact there, and that opens the door for Gilliland, and he walks through.
How about with all that damage to the left front corner of that car? He took advantage of those guys getting together.
Wow, Jones fighting back on the outside, and 3 wide with Chase Purdy getting loose and into the wall.
Well, there's 2 cars to the outside of him. Did such a great job saving those cars. I think it was Sheldon Creed and Riley Herbst that were on the outside of Chase Purdy.
3 wide there with Purdy on the bottom, and I think just got down underneath that white line a little bit. Created the back end to come up, got loose, and a little bit of contact and couldn't haul it in.
When you get cars side by side too, that car on the inside is going to lose a little bit. Ooh, they make contact right there, and then he never really regained contact, but control, excuse me. But what a great job that the 28 of Sheldon Creed did by not losing his car.
Well, that's unfortunate for Purdy. Watch it from the onboard of Gus Dean.
You can see him 3 wide up there in front of Zane Smith. Gus did a great job. He noticed that car was up against the wall. He got back in the throttle to get by before Chase Purdy came down the racetrack.
Well, that could have very easily collected all 3 of those cars.
Just can't say enough about the job that Sheldon Creed and Riley Herbst did to maintain control with their cars. Boy, what damage to the Bama Buggy's car for Chase Purdy.
Well, and that's going to create a quick dash to the finish.
Could have another restart.
The restart always bunches them up and provides an opportunity for side-by-side racing. Maybe a little contact that could open the door, as we saw there with Creed and Brandon Jones as they raced side-by-side, got together and just a little bit loose, both of them, and that opened the door for Gilliland, and he just charged right through.
Sure, even with that damage, I thought that car would be somewhat crippled with that damage to the left front, and I think it has been, because Brandon Jones was able, once he got his car straight, was able to get back by Gilliland.
And what does that left front damage do? How does that impact the handling of the car?
Well, certainly it's going to be an aero situation. The car is not going to be as slippery through the air as it was, and it's also going to make that car probably tight, because he's not going to be able to rely on the downforce. The drag is going to be worse. He's going to have more drag and less downforce on the front of that car.
Look at this. Well, you can see that is a big hole in that left front of the 54.
With more time left in the race, if we were halfway, more than likely they would come in and repair that damage. But I'm sure Chris Lawson felt like we were so close to the end of the race that he didn't want to give up all the track position, because we still have 15 cars on the lead lap.
Let's check in again with Jim Trado.
Well, the 28 car, Sheldon Creed, had a lightning fast car. Grabbed the lead, then the caution came out right when you didn't want. I'm talking to his crew chief, Jeff Stankiewicz. Now you're working through this start and stoppage and some close racing on the track. Any damage on that 28 car from the last brush?
Not that I know of. Left rear quarter might have a little wrinkle in it or so, but Sheldon's done great all night. You know, we got behind in practice, spun out and hit the wall early. You know, Sheldon got in there and he helped us work on it, helped us change transmission, so I'm really proud of him for that. But car's just really loose in the corner. I thought we were going to be okay the longer we could run here, but this restart's kind of brought everybody back together now. So a little concerned here starting on the bottom. Top's rolling pretty good through 1 and 2, but hopefully everything goes right and we can get back in the lead. But we need to get us a win here. I'm tired of running second and third.
And your driver's used to driving loose vehicles like in the car with his teammate Robbie Gordon, who stopped by and checked in with you guys. When it comes to a driver handling a loose race car, yes, he's got the ability, but talk about what Sheldon has left. Is he a lot of worn tires, as you talked about, that loose condition worsening?
Yeah, Sheldon's definitely the guy you want in a loose race car, but there's still a point of being too loose. And right now, our problem is loose on entry, and that's a problem because if you're loose on entry, it just messes the whole corner up, and you carry that momentum all the way down the straightaway if you can't get back on the throttle. So hopefully these cycles kind of help tighten us up, burn some more fuel off. Hopefully we'll be there, so we'll see.
Thank you, Jeff. We wish you well. It's Jeff Stankiewicz, crew chief on Sheldon Creed's number 28 United Rentals Toyota.
Good stuff, Jim. Thank you. And inside of 10 laps remaining, and on this restart, Brandon Jones will be the leader. Most recent win last year at Michigan. In fact, he's won the last 2 races at Michigan, 2017 and 2016.
I started to go down in the garage here this morning and tell Brandon, just pretend this is Michigan. You win them every time.
Here it was last year.
He was able to come back from that spin right there. That's Zane Smith right there in the 55 car last year.
Took it to the house back to back, and he said he hopes to make it 3 in a row with another run at Michigan this year in the ARCA car.
He'd like to be able to put this one in his back pocket before he gets to Michigan.
Well, it's going to be quite a battle, I think, between Brandon Jones and Todd Gilliland. Probably Riley Herbst and Sheldon Creed going to have something to say about it as well. And as they restarted that second row, don't count out Zane Smith and Gus Dean in the 3rd row.
So Brett Holmes, he's right now running in the 8th spot, that 23 car, that blue and white car. He's been strong here in the last little bit of this race.
Gilliland's led 59 laps. Brandon Jones led 25, and those are the 2 guys restarting here on the front row. And when they take the green flag, there will be 7 laps remaining.
Watch this restart here with these hot tires, Vince.
The restart might be the key. It might decide this one. Who's going to get the jump? Jones does not get a good start, and look at Creed through the middle, making it 3 wide.
What a move by Sheldon Creed.
But Jones fights back.
Ooh, Sheldon Creed sideways.
Oh, what a save by Sheldon Creed. Loses a couple of spots, but saves it. Herbst moves into the 3rd position, but they're chasing Brandon Jones.
There's Gus Dean, the 32 car on the outside of Quinn Houff in the 98. The battle for the sixth position. There's Travis Braden. He gets by the 32 of Gus Dean going after Houff.
That's a gaggle back around 6th, 7th, 8th.
Where Travis Braden was able to make the pass on Houff as they got into the corner and then just wasn't able to get back in the throttle, lost that spot back.
They're all chasing Brandon Jones as they fight for position. Jones is out front, leading the way.
Riley Herbst in the 18 car has been able to get by Gilliland for that second position.
Jones with less than a second lead, but boy, he almost lost it. Take a look at that restart again, and watch, he just doesn't get it going, and Herbst comes from the second row, splits the pair right down the middle.
I think Jones and Gilliland both were spinning their tires, Vince, and Sheldon Creed was on the button, couldn't maintain the speed as they got down in turn 1.
It's the view from Riley Herbst's car as Creed just squeezes right between the front row restarters.
Look at that sideways there for Sheldon Creed in the 28. Nice save.
But Jones would eventually fight back on the inside and get the lead back. And that's where he sits right now out front. Riley Herbst running second, less than a half second behind, and a great view. That's what Herbst sees. That's the win right out in front of him.
See him try to stay right in his tire tracks. Looks like he gained on him through the center of that corner that time. Remember, Riley started back in the 18th position, Vince. 2 to go.
Won at Pocono last year, hasn't gotten to victory lane this season. Best finish was 6th at Salem. And he is right there on the back end of the 12 of Brandon Jones.
Riley told me if you miss your mark here, it hurts the whole lap. White flag, 1 to go, Vince.
1.5 miles remaining. Brandon Jones out front. Riley Herbst close behind in second. Can Herbst get close enough to make a move on the final lap?
That was a good corner, good exit. See a little bit of a wiggle by Brandon Jones.
Jones looking out that mirror, keeping an eye on Herbst. Into turn 3. Herbst pulls up now, trying to take a look on the outside. Around the lap traffic. Here comes Brandon Jones to the line. He's going to win his first race here in 2018.
What a job, I tell you. Herbst gave him all he wanted, though, Vince.
Brandon Jones and his crew chief, Shane Huffman, going to victory lane. The General Tire 150, the ARCA Racing Series, presented by Menards. Thanks a lot, Kevin. And how about Brandon Jones? Burning it up after winning the General Tire 150. Pretty good percentage. He's 1 for 1 this season.
Exactly.
Winner last year at Michigan, and go back a few years, started out his ARCA racing career by winning the first 2 races he competed in. Back in 2014, won at Winchester and then backed it up at Raceway Park in Indianapolis.
Yeah, win number 5 for Brandon here in the ARCA Racing Series.
They struggled a bit in qualifying, but they had a car that came alive in the race. And Brandon Jones puts it in victory lane. Unofficial results here in the General Tire 150. Boy, Todd Gilliland, heartbreaker there, finishing 4th because he had a car that was certainly capable of winning this race.
Yeah, that damage to that left front corner certainly hurt him at the end. But really proud of Riley Herbst from fighting back from that 18th place qualifying effort to finish in the runner-up spot.
11th through 20th. Eventful night for Joe Graff Jr. Still brought it home 18th.
Leilani Munter rounds out the top 20.
Michael Self had that crash in practice and had to go to the backup, or in qualifying, I guess, and had to go to the backup, and that backup car just wasn't quite enough for him tonight.
No, it didn't seem to have the speed that his primary did.
Victory lane with Jim Trado.
Brandon Jones already giving a big smile and a handshake to his crew chief, Shane Huffman. This car was on rails when it counted. He didn't ask for much, but he said, man, before those last couple of cautions, that car was getting awfully free. How much did that help you win this race with that cool down and that chance to get this car cycled through?
Cautions were everything tonight. That saved us for sure. Right there at the end of that, we got passed by our teammate in the 28 there. I was getting so loose towards the end. We got those restarts, let the tires cool down a little bit. Kind of ironic, we raced some teammates there at the end in a way, you know, with Riley there at JGR and then Todd with KBM there. So we've been around a lot of each other for a while now. Can't thank everyone at TRD for being a part of my career this year. They put a lot into us. We've had Mobil 1 in the car, a lot of people. So all in all, looking forward to coming to Michigan. Hopefully I can do it again there.
Yeah, it'd be 3 in a row there, but let's talk about that last restart. 3 wide. Were you surprised by that, and how were you able to pull ahead?
Oh my gosh! Honestly, I'm gonna give a lot of credit to my Xfinity crew chief, Chris Grapehart. He's been working with me so hard right now on side drafting, on how to run around in traffic, and I used every bit of that knowledge that I had from him to be able to come and do this right here. So I think we put a little bit of veteran skill on him, I think I'd like to say, and it worked out for us.
And Brandon's back in this car in Michigan. His 5th victory, his 15th top 5 in just 22 starts in the ARCA Racing Series. The winner tonight, Brandon Jones at Charlotte.
An impressive showing for sure for Brandon Jones getting the victory. Zane Smith holds on to the points lead with that 5th place finish tonight.
Yeah, Sheldon Creed with that 3rd place finish gains a little bit of that ground he lost last week at Toledo. Back on Zane Smith, and Riley Herbst now moves into 3rd.
Travis Braden and Chase Purdy rounding out the top 5. Pretty tight up there at the top.
Yeah, sure is. It's going to be a great battle all year long. Teammates at MDM, Zane Smith and Sheldon Creed.
Still a long way to go, though, you see, just after 6 of 20 races. Plenty more action in the ARCA Racing Series left this season, and we're going to have a race from Pocono next week. For Phil Parsons and Jim Trado, I'm Vince Welch. Thanks for joining us tonight from Charlotte Motor Speedway in the General Tire 150. Brandon Jones, your winner. Major League Baseball whip around coming your way next.